Yeah. Yeah.
Hello, everyone. Good morning. Happy Thanksgiving weekend, by the way. Canada, anyway. But for everyone else, it's just a typical, normal Sunday of NFL football. So I'm here, Kyle Senra, from Canada. By Thanksgiving. Very thankful to have both my co-hosts, Jamie Perog, Topher Kurt, joining me for this Sunday morning Start Sit stream. Jamie, how you doing?
Yeah, good morning. Doing good. We're 30% done with the season now, but it's not over. So if you are 0-5, if you're 5-0, that doesn't mean crap. Just keep working at it, man.
No, it's true. Yeah, the one of the things that happened, I noticed a lot of teams last year were, they got the first round bye, but then lost their first matchup in the playoffs, like the semifinal. And it seemed like a lot of those teams that were doing so good, you tend to, I don't need to go check waivers. I don't, those teams have to be grinding just as hard as all the other teams. The teams that
absolutely
at the start, they grind so much that they end up in a better position at the playoffs. So, good point, Jamie. Regardless of your record, always be grinding.
Mm-hmm.
Topher, any wise words? I know it'll be tough to top Jamie, whether it's wise words or obscene words, but you have a chance.
I have nothing to start the day off with wise words, so that's not helpful. But
yeah, we got wise words coming from you, though.
Well, yeah. Once we get the start sick questions, maybe that'll spike your brain when we
yes. Oh, absolutely.
But yes. So before we get to start sick questions, one of the things I want to do before we just to make sure we have time is addressing some of the players that we're not going to have clarity on right now. So some of these later game questionable players and what you can do to prepare for the event that they're out. So I want to start with a simple one, who actually my most rostered player overall in fantasy dynasty redraft combined. It's Deontay Johnson, and the Panthers playing at 4:30 Eastern. They've got later game. Deontay is questionable, so I don't know if you guys have any insight, like if you think Deontay's playing or not. But even if you think he's playing, we still don't know for sure. So you kind of want to prepare on that.
Yeah, when I was doing my research, a lot of people felt very confident that Deontay Johnson was going to start and to play. So, I mean, he's ranked as a wide receiver 2 right now. And I'm looking right now and it says on Fantasy Pros that he is expected to play today. So,
okay. So this may not mean as much, but I know the leagues where I've got Deontay, I've made sure, I guess in one league, there's a lot of bye weeks and it's like, oh man, I might have to either drop Jalen Waddle on bye or just drop the kicker and not go without a kicker this week. So really hoping Deontay plays. But if he doesn't, then I've got to kind of make a difficult decision there. But for the other 5 leagues where I've got Deontay, a couple of them I picked up or I've already had rostered Trey Tucker and have chosen, even with the expectation that Jacoby Myers is going to miss, I'm leaving Trey Tucker on the bench because he's maybe the best option in the 4 o'clock window or even later to go and make a replacement for Deontay. So I'm holding out Trey Tucker for now with the thought that if Deontay misses, Trey Tucker is an easy pivot into there. Another league, it's Ray McLeod. So getting more volume. I don't know if Cousins is going to throw for 500 yards again. Panthers, he might. But then one league, it's actually really easy. I've also got Xavier Legette in this dynasty league. So if Deontay's out, then it's just simple. Oh man, Xavier Legette should get more work. So I've at least got these options set up that if Deontay's out, other than that one league where I'm going to have to get creative with a kicker. This one I'm not as happy about. Quentin Johnston is my replacement option. I don't love that with the chance he might be covered by Patrick Surtain. So definitely would rather Deontay play, but I'd also rather play someone than take a 0 if that's the case. So those are just a few things for Deontay.
I definitely agree with you there. Like, yes.
So we've got that. There's 2 more players and they're running backs. And I know for myself, a couple of these leagues where they are in a running back spot, so you might not be able to flex them, but Chase Brown tonight. And as we get to the night games, your options become more limited. So, for instance, in one league, I've got Khalil Shakir as the backup. But Khalil Shakir is also questionable. I guess that would enter into this conversation.
Right.
So I've also went and picked up Ty Johnson just in case. So the backup to the backup in case Brown doesn't go and Shakir doesn't go. Another league, it's Eric Gray. With the news that Devin Singletary's out, I think he'll at least get some work. So I'd rather Chase Brown, obviously, than any of those options. But again, it's the thought of at least play someone to not get a zero. So maybe go pick up an Eric Gray. If you got Chase Brown in a redraft league, maybe Ray Davis is even available. And that way you can still put in a running back if you're because again, in a couple of these leagues, one in particular, I'm playing all wide receivers, and okay, well, Chase Brown is my RB2, so make sure to get Eric Gray, and that way at least there's a running back body available.
Yes. In my main dynasty league, I've got Shakir and James Cook, and they both, Monday night travesties. Also, I mean, Shakir, the Jets have been really good against wide receivers, especially when it comes to touchdowns. So Jets have given up 6 50-yard performances to the wide receiver this year, but only 2 touchdowns. And Josh Allen, surprisingly, has only passed for over 200 yards twice this season. He's had 3 less than 200-yard games. So against this Jets team, I'm not expecting a resurgence. So I would try and find somebody you're more comfortable with now.
Yeah, so just find someone for now and just make that decision and not even leave it to Monday night.
Correct.
So in your league, is there anyone available from that Monday night? Like, is Ty Johnson there or just some random, did someone
so
drop Curtis Samuel?
There's a Ty Johnson. I also drafted, I've got Josh Allen. So I've got Keon Coleman as well.
Okay.
So if Cook and Shakir are not going to play, then I'll put in Coleman.
Yeah, Coleman should be a solid option in that case.
Yeah,
should get absolutely. Targets.
So there we go.
And then James Cook is the last one. Yeah, I've got Ty Johnson a couple spots. I did draft in a league where I had James Cook, a dynasty league. I did in the rookie draft take Ray Davis, so that's kind of a natural replacement. In one dynasty league, I got MVS. That doesn't feel great, but again, it's better than a 0. Really hoping James Cook plays.
Do you think he's going to get more than a 0?
He might not, but he has a chance to get more than a 0 as opposed to just playing an injured player, right? I'll take the upside. He gets 1 catch, and okay, it's better than 0, right?
Yeah, that's true.
Oh, he fumbled. He got negative points. Damn it. That's the one thing. Well, his
poor
problem is
Reggie
catching the ball, so I doubt he gets the catch and then fumbles. It's mostly he'll just drop him. I mean, you're a Packers fan too. Don't forget all about the MVS experience.
Yep.
If it's not the AFC or NFC championship game, you probably can't rely on him. In that particular game, the semifinal before the Super Bowl, he will go off and have a career game.
Oh, yeah.
You got to get there first. As we've got some start-sit questions coming in, we'll get to those. Jamie, do you have anything to say about James Cook?
I mean, like I said, we talked pre-show. I have him in one league, and you gave me a good idea. Just drop one of my players, pick up Ray Davis.
Yeah, I think, and it's not a player I really had to twist your arm to drop because it was your least favorite. Actually, that might not be true. Your second least favorite running back, Alexander Mattison.
Yeah.
Didn't have to push you too hard to say just drop Madison for Ray Davis. Yeah, of course. There you go. You don't have to play Alexander Mattison now. But yes, we do have some people with some start-sit questions entering the live stream. So if you want to ask any of your questions, feel free to join us on the Going for Two Live YouTube page, also on Facebook and Twitch. So you can ask your questions there, and we will definitely get to all of them as they enter the chat. Zach saying good morning, and Zach does have a question we'll get to in a second. Thanks, Zach. I'm trying to think last week. Did we mess him up real bad? I want to say... I can't remember, but I feel like...
I'm sure he'll let us know.
I think we told him to play Wandale, and he scored a touchdown. But, I think he asked someone else who had a bigger game. But, if Wandale would have been okay. We didn't totally screw him over. He got a touchdown. He wasn't a monster game for Wandale. So let us know, Zach, if I'm wrong on there. But we'll start with Ryan's question. It says, good morning. Good morning, Ryan. Pick one to start in the flex, please. Very polite, Ryan. Thank you. Terry McLaurin, Chase Brown, or Jalen Tolbert? Last Ravens game seems like a fluke, and I think they put pressure on the rookie QB today. So maybe talk of why he's Ryan's concerned of playing Terry McLaurin. Do you justify that by going somewhere else?
Well, the thing is, you can't run on the Ravens, so they're going to have to throw the ball. I have McLaurin ranked a little bit higher than the pros. I believe they have them between like 15 to 20. I actually put them wide receiver 13, 14-ish. So I like McLaurin this week.
So the pros actually have a ginormous range for him. Somebody had him at 5, wide receiver 5 this week, down to wide receiver 22. So it's a huge range. His average came out to ranking of 16.5, so kind of right where you were saying. But I'm running with McLaurin on this because, I mean, there's really no other like down the field asset for Jaden Daniels. His 2 running backs can catch out of the backfield, but I'm not sitting there and going, okay, Luke McCaffrey or Noah Brown are going to steal this from him, or 79-year-old Zach Ertz, you know. McLaurin, he's the best talent. He's in one of the best offenses, ironically, this season, which we've been waiting for McLaurin. So he's got such a great opportunity this week.
Yeah, I've got McLaurin. I might be one of the ones that seems to be lower on that range. Wide receiver 21 this week in half PPR, which is higher than Jalen Tolbert. As much as I think the appeal of both those receivers is that both those run defenses are so good. The Ravens run defense against Washington, but the Lions run defense against the Cowboys, that we expect big volume for both of those guys. I guess the difference with Tolbert is he's contending with Jake Ferguson and CD Lamb. McLaurin is the alpha. So, and I think the reason none of us brought up Chase Brown is what we were just talking about earlier. He is questionable. So if you are planning to play Chase Brown, you almost need to drop like a Tolbert to then go pick up like an Eric Gray or Ray Davis to make sure you've got that. I guess this could be a flex spot. So you just take a receiver too. But it seems like we're expecting enough volume from both those receivers. It seems unnecessary to risk it on Chase Brown, especially now that there was maybe upside with Brown when Zach Moss was hurt. But now it looks like Brown is the more hurt one than Moss, because Moss is good to go. He's not on the injury report anymore. He was questionable earlier in the week, but what it looks like right now, I would expect Moss to now get more of the carries this week and Brown to be very clearly the backup. So I think we all say Terry McLaurin. So there you go, Ryan. It's I know your fear of pressure on the QB is one thing. Jaden Daniels isn't most rookie QBs, though. And especially his running ability means I think he can evade some of that pressure and keep some of these drives going longer than a typical rookie QB would. And as Jamie pointed out, the run defense is so bad that it's going to have to be so much in the passing volume. All right, Zach. Actually, yeah. So Zach basically said last week, whoever outscored Wandale was so even that it didn't really matter. So we at least gave him a good talk with Wandale if he played him.
There we go.
This week it's Jameson Williams or Josh Downs. Now, man, the Colts. Like earlier this week, we had no idea who was even going to play for them. Which quarterback, which receivers are active, which running back is even active.
Right?
And so, like even Josh Downs. Like, do we know Josh Downs is playing today? Because he was questionable.
Yes, he is playing today.
Okay, and now the big question: do we know if Michael Pittman's playing?
Yes.
Yeah, he is playing. I think he's going to be a decoy.
That's the thing. Like,
you can blanket cover him with Snead.
Yeah, I don't even have Pittman ranked this week. I took him out of all the lineups. It's really tough to play him with all that talk. But at the same time, like, I guess the appeal is Flacco's there, so good passing volume. I don't know, though.
So I in my article for this week, I actually wrote about both Jameson and Josh Downs on the downside of each of my tiers. So Jameson started off hot, 20 targets, 10 receptions, 200 yards, and a touchdown in the first 2 weeks. Weeks 3 and 4, 5 targets for 3 receptions, 89 yards, and 1 touchdown. Dallas has only given up 3 touchdowns to receivers this year, and only 4 receivers have gotten more than 60 yards. So I think Jameson is going to definitely be a boomer bust player. I put Josh Downs as a downside primarily because of Anthony Richardson. So Josh Downs has been a fun player to watch with Joe Flacco at the helm. 17 receptions for 151 yards in the past and a touchdown in the past 2 weeks. Sign me up. Well, I mean, except for this week. Both Downs and Pittman did not practice this week, but will play. Also, Titans are really tough against the wide receiver position, only allowing 3 50-yard games to receivers this year, and only DJ Moore has caught more than 4 receptions in a single game this season. He only had 5. So, it's going to be interesting because Josh Downs has been definitely a volume play, getting that 17 receptions. And I want to say it was like 21 or 22 targets on that as well. But with Flacco at the helm, I think there's a better possibility for Josh Downs to produce, but both defenses are doing well against the receiver. Both receivers have had good weeks and not so good weeks. I'm leaning Downs, though.
Yeah, I'm on the opposite end. If you look at the Titans, they allow the least amount of points to wide receivers so far this year. 50% of those go into the slot, so it's only like less than 10 points to the slot. I know Flacco's playing; it's going to help him. But Jameson Williams, man, I think he's going to have a good game. Honestly, Amon-Ra is going to get covered by what? They're playing Dallas, right?
Yep.
So Diggs, he's going to be on the Diggs Island. They don't have.
I trust Amon-Ra in that matchup, though.
Yeah.
I don't think Diggs is good enough.
Diggs is that big play guy. He'll let people get points. But he's going to be covering him. And then you got Mike. I think Parsons is out, right? So that means they have to bring the safety up to help with the tight end. And that just leaves Jameson Williams just to burn that defense. So I definitely would go Williams, in my opinion.
Well, in addition to Parsons being out, DeMarcus Lawrence is on IR.
Yeah.
Basically, those are the 2 best pass rushers on that team. One guy on the outside, one guy on the inside. So, this could be something where Goff gets the clean time in the pocket to make those boom-bust throws. I know you were referencing that, Topher. And to be fair, most weeks Jameson Williams will be boom or bust. I think that when we saw the week 1 heavy target game, I don't think that's going to be a thing. But against this Dallas defense, I actually think he will boom. So I'm with Jamie on this one and saying go Jameson Williams. I've got Jameson actually as a top 20 wide receiver this week.
Yeah, I got him right outside the top 20.
I've got him at 19, so he's almost outside the top 20.
Yeah, the experts have him at 23. His range was 22 to 31, but a lot of them had him at 22, and Josh Downs is at 31.
Yeah, I think his floor is like 12 points, 12 and a half. I think he can get up to like that, I don't know, 15, 16.
Admittingly, I probably have Josh Downs ranked too low at wide receiver 43. Probably have to move that up, but I don't think I'm going to move that up enough to me, the answer is still Jameson. So, we helped you out there.
Yeah, I think I would have kept him lower as well if Richardson was starting. I don't think that would be. I think Joe Flacco starting makes a big difference.
Yeah, it was QB, but then also down zone injury. Like, how healthy is he even going to be?
Yeah,
those 2 things really worked against it. So the majority says Jameson, but Zach's favorite guy is Topher. So Topher said, I guess it's up to you. We didn't really give you clarity there, Zach, but good luck.
I gave you clarity. That's what matters.
There we go. Right. Yeah. Topher clear. Okay. I always try to make stupid puns. This one didn't.
You tried.
Yeah. As long as we're all clear on that. Yeah, Jamie loves Madison.
Yeah, I need to get my jersey.
Are you gonna get
just get a tattoo? Make it permanent.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess, do you like the Raiders jersey better or Vikings? You can go for an old school Madison Vikings jersey if those still exist.
Yeah, if anything, it would be the definitely Raiders.
Hey, we're Packers fans. We approve of not going with the Vikings jersey.
Yes, absolutely.
All right, so thank you, Daniel Howland, giving us a howl over here with the really bad pun. Sorry, Daniel. But we'll give you good advice to make up for it. So he's saying he's starting Trey Tucker, which I think makes sense, but then pick a flex full PPR, Brock Bowers, Sam Laporta, or Tank Dell.
Jeez.
Not gonna lie, even if we expect Tucker's the number one wide receiver, I still view Bowers as the number one target. So
Oh, absolutely.
I wouldn't play Tucker over Bowers.
Yeah, I
you
would
could
definitely
just
go
play both,
Bowers.
but I'm definitely would play Bowers. I think I would go Bowers and Tank Dell. The Patriots, I mean, I know, Jamie, you've been doing a lot of stats on like zone versus man coverage, and I think one of the ones you referenced is the Patriots play a ton of man coverage, and that's where some of CJ Stroud's biggest success has come. Specifically, also Tank Dell and Stephon Diggs have both had success against man coverage. So,
And then Christian Gonzalez, he's going to be mostly blanketing Diggs because
I would assume
not
that
number
too,
one cornerback that shadows. So it's at like over 80, 85%.
And Dell really hasn't produced enough to make you think that they're going to go on him. Like Diggs is the one who's been getting touchdowns. He's been having the more spike weeks, even if it's not like huge yardage games. He seems like he's the bigger threat right now, which I think this could be the game where Tank Dell breaks out this year, where he's healthier than he has been the last couple weeks. He didn't even miss a couple weeks. So now that he's returned to the lineup, no Nico Collins, I expect him to get targets. I've got Dell as a top 24 wide receiver. Even though I've raised Trey Tucker up, he's still outside the top 30 for me. So, because the problem with the Steelers is every opponent that plays him is a slow game script, chance at low points. So I wouldn't want to play both Bowers and Tucker. So I think if you're hell-bent on playing Tucker, that's fine. Just go with Tank Dell. But personally, I'm going Tank Dell and Brock Bowers. But I feel like playing both Raiders is probably not a good idea in this against the Steelers. What do you think, Topher?
Yeah, I'm with you guys there. Start Brock Bowers and Tank Dell. I only talk about 2 wide receivers for every ranking of 12 that I have on my article, and we're hitting all of them today. So Tank Dell actually wrote about having upside because, like, if you're thinking about when you have 2 really strong wide receivers, Seattle week 2 tore them apart with DK Metcalf and JSN. They had 30 targets, 22 receptions, 246 yards, and a touchdown. Wow, that's not going to happen all the time. However, you have Diggs and Dell that can really produce and be able to tear that secondary apart. This secondary has also given up 6 50-plus yard games to the wide receiver. The wide receiver position this season. So I think that there's definitely upside here for Tank Dell.
Yeah, so sorry to contradict your strong start of Trey Tucker, Daniel.
I actually think he's talking Tucker Kraft.
Oh,
Flex Bowers and Laporta.
Yeah, I was wondering which tight end. You see, I'd still go Bowers over Tucker.
Yeah, I got
especially
Bowers
with Christian Watson coming back, and Dubs
Bowers
coming back, like, not be as many targets for Kraft.
So I'm going Bowers and Dell.
Yeah, I think we're pretty convicted on that, Daniel. So sorry to contradict what you think is your strong call. And honestly, if you have Tucker Kraft, Brock Bowers, and Sam Laporta, I would probably try and trade one of them because this is going to just be a nightmare. Yeah, it is Tucker Kraft. Yeah, I think we're all Trey Tucker Kraft doesn't matter. It's Bowers and Dell for us. But I would try and look to trade one of these tight ends because this is just going to be a problem all year where you're going to be, oh man, which matchup, right? Like you probably don't need 3 of them, and like fill up, like trade one away for just an extra roster spot somewhere. Like it just seems like I wouldn't want to have all 3 of these guys.
Yeah, it's going to be a big Laporta game, I think, today. Wearing his jersey.
He does not trade.
Laporta. They're playing in the dome, so I think he's going to have a huge game. So sell him after this week.
Are you saying like the league like has a rule doesn't like you're not allowed to make trades or just people don't trade in the league? Either way, Daniel, my real advice is just leave that league and get a better league. There's tons of fantasy leagues everywhere that are super active. There's no need to be in a league that just sits around and does nothing.
Or
that's my personal take on it.
Start the trend of trading. That's what I've had to do that a couple times where I make the first trade in league and then other people are like, oh yeah, I can do that. And they start building on it. So
people just don't trade. Yeah, go like
so make offers.
So bad this year. Someone is gonna want Laporta, Bowers, or Tucker Kraft. Like there's gotta be some team that's doing so bad at tight end that they'll give you any player of your choice that isn't like an elite starter for them to get one of those tight ends. So the trick is, Daniel, you're going to have to be aggressive though. Like you're going to have to go out and send offers to every team and find out who is willing to trade for one of those tight ends.
Also, figure out who like who people like. What are their fan favorites, because you can often play into like, hey, I know this guy's a Packers fan. Like
this guy?
Right?
And that guy too.
Exactly.
Lots of Packers fans. All across various countries, as we're proving right here.
Yes.
So yeah, apparently we didn't help Zach at all because Jamie and I said something, Topher said something different. So now he has no idea what to go with. So thanks for joining us, Zach. We appreciate your presence here. Just I guess good luck, Daniel. I think we're all three of us like Bowers and Dell more than Tucker Kraft. So take it there. George Pickens or David Montgomery for the flex? Thank you for your question, Michael. And he's talking about this is a flex in a full PPR league.
Yeah, this one's pretty easy for me. Last week, Pickens, he only played half the snaps. He got 7 targets. He caught 3 of them. It's just not consistent, man. I don't want to start Pickens until we see something more for him. I don't know what's going on. Montgomery, man, him and Gibbs are both top 15 running backs.
I've got both in my top 9. I've got Montgomery as RB9
through the year, not ranked.
Oh, okay,
already. Yeah.
I love this matchup against the Cowboys, though. We talked about it earlier. No Micah Parsons, no DeMarcus Lawrence. Not only does it affect their pass rush, their run defense isn't going to be very good. So
I don't see how you can sit Montgomery at all. I'm starting Montgomery in my flex over people like Olave.
Sure, yeah.
So definitely go Montgomery.
I say start Montgomery over Bijan Robinson this week. So I've got him ranked higher. I think I've got him ranked higher than both Bijan and Breece Hall. So.
Well, that's funny because I did a touchdown parlay, and I got Montgomery in there, and I got Bijan in there.
I wonder the Montgomery Gibbs parlay. I think they could both score touchdowns.
I added that too.
Anyway, read my goal line guide article this week. The highest differential of the week is the Lions running in favor of the Lions running. So they're far more likely to score rushing touchdowns than they are passing touchdowns, especially as they get close. And that's their natural tendency. They've barely thrown any passes inside the 5 because they don't have to. They just run it in every time. And against the Cowboys, I think they'll be able to do that pretty easily. So I've got Gibbs as RB1 this week and Montgomery as RB9. So to me, they're both kind of must starts.
And I mean, Montgomery has been getting targets here and there too. So yeah, it's not like Gibbs is taking all the target shares.
Yeah, neither of them are getting a ton of targets because, again, they're just running so much, which means good volume for both still.
Yeah.
Topher, are you agreeing here?
I'm going Montgomery easily. Plus, they just signed him.
He's 2 years, yeah.
Yeah. So he is a part of this team. He's a part of this backfield. They want him here. You don't sign a running back right before week 6 unless if he is somebody that's going to be a staple of your game plan from here on out.
Yeah, clearly they like him way better than DeAndre Swift.
Yes.
Yeah. So looking at one more question here from Zach. Dak or Jaden Daniels?
I think you have to go Jaden. I think I have him.
I've got him at QB2.
I have him at 3. Where do I have Dak? I got Dak at 14. So
a little higher on that. I think I've got both in the top 12 because I think the Cowboys, for the opposite sake of that argument, won't be able to run as easily against the Lions. It's such a good run defense that this is going to be a heavy volume game for Dak. My problem is why are you benching Jaden Daniels at all? The way he's been producing, the way he's going, I really can't see myself benching him under any circumstance. Again, unless you have Lamar, because he's playing Washington.
Yeah.
Right. But it's one of those where I think I saw someone ask that too, and I said the same question. I'm not benching Daniels under any circumstance. I'm not going to recommend anyone to bench him. I'm Jaden Daniels every game until he gives us a reason that he's not this super elite quarterback.
I mean, unless you have Lamar Jackson, you're starting Jaden Daniels. Yeah. So I might have Dak a little too low. I don't know. I did put Daniel Jones above him. That might be the reason I have him a little bit lower than you.
Yeah. I don't quite have Daniel Jones that high.
Yeah, Daniel Jones against that Cincy defense. I got him at 11. I know Mike.
Dak at 9.
Drop the mic is on him too. He wrote him up in his article this week. It's like a must start. So,
but one thing we're not doing is debating Daniel Jones versus Jaden Daniels. Like that's.
it would still be.
Oh,
I confused them last week.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
Not going to happen again. I think I confused it because it was Daniel. It was Daniel apostrophe S. So like in my mind, I'm like, oh, it's Daniel Jones, right? Like, because like the S wasn't part of the word, so I was reading it as Daniel, not Daniels. So when I see Daniel, it's like, oh, Daniel Jones. Clearly, I think that's why. So full name. Zach uses the full name. I guess we don't need Dak's full name. We know. There's only one Dak. But yeah, there's one of one Jaden Daniels right now. It's incredible to watch. Like, I don't think there's like the other foot's dropping. I think this is legit who he is, and he's just going to keep doing this. So.
Yeah, I agree. Jaden Daniels, all the way,
100%.
all the way. Yeah.
To go back to Ryan's. Sorry, go ahead, Topher.
I was just going to say, Zach did throw some slander on us right after that. So talking about Michael's comment about Pickens or Montgomery. Wow, my voice is being awesome this morning. So basically, if they all say Monty, go Pickens. Thank you, Zach, for the shade. I really appreciate it. Hey, I'm your favorite. So I did agree with them. So,
Topher, the Packers fan, said go with the Lions player. So he's serious.
Also, I have Jaden Daniels and Jordan Love in a couple leagues. Sweet baby Jesus. And I'm starting Jaden Daniels. Just, no fandom there. You just got to start the best guy out there.
I know Jordan Love is pretty high in the ECR this week, a little higher than I was. I think I've got him down like QB7. But like there were some ECR rankings at like QB3, like basically right there with Jaden Daniels. I'm not quite as optimistic about Love.
Mm-hmm.
Still top 10 guy. But yeah.
So going off what Topher just said, you got to start the best guy out there. Not always, because I have a league where I think I'm sitting Mike Evans, and this is juicy, for Michael Wilson because of that Lattimore matchup. He's always been holding Evans to like what 5, 6, 0 fantasy points. Then you got Wilson. Who was he facing? The Packers, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So you got Jair Alexander, not fully healthy, but he's going to be mostly on Marv and Harrison. So I think that could leave Michael Wilson open. But then we just heard about that 25-mile-per-hour wind. So I don't know. I'm torn on that one.
Yeah, I think you also have circumstances like that. Like when, what was it? Garrett Wilson went up against Patrick Surtain, or essentially anybody's against Surtain. You're like, no. In my article, I just find whoever is facing Surtain, and I just use my downside for that week. It's just pretty much facing the Broncos, probably shadowed by Surtain. That's all you need to know.
Yeah, I was writing about Surtain in my wide receiver cornerback article for like the first 3, 4, 5 weeks, and it's like I need to stop. It's just not a thing anymore. Do not start receivers for Surtain.
Yep.
Just to wrap up this Jaden Daniels bow. I wonder if Zach thinks similar to Ryan does in that Ravens defense could put pressure on the young QB if that's why there's maybe concern relative to, like, say, Dak Prescott. Lions have a pretty good pass rush too, though, with Aiden Hutchinson. I mean, they don't have Matthew Betts. I don't know why they didn't keep him because they don't really have any other good pass rushers aside from Hutchinson. But I don't know. Again, I think we're pretty convicted on just keeping Jaden Daniels.
Yep.
And Zach mentioning that he did go with Josh Downs. So there you go, Topher. You've
it does make me feel better. It actually makes my morning. So thank you.
Hope that helps your voice too.
There we go.
Yeah, was there did we cover everything?
Who was deciding between Downs and who?
That was Jameson Williams.
Oh, okay. I'll keep an eye on that one.
Oh, right. To your Michael Wilson. Sorry, I wanted to address that. So yeah, Jair is playing. What kind of role do we really expect from Michael Wilson? And I've also had the fear of Mike Evans with Lattimore, and I'll lower him a bit in my rankings. I probably didn't lower him enough. I put him at wide receiver 15, which to me that's lowering Evans outside the top 12.
Yeah.
But I mean, is Marshawn Lattimore that guy still? I know he's been hurt this year. Is he still the true shutdown corner like right now with his health concerns?
I mean, he shut him down last year for what, like?
Well, I'm not talking last year, Jim. I'm talking right now with all the injuries Lattimore, because there was a couple games where he was inactive, right? So he's back now. He's probably not fully 100% healthy. Is he the same shutdown corner when he's not fully healthy?
That's a very good question.
Who have the Saints played this year? I want to go through that. I'm going to go through some Saints game log just to see, I'll go see Lattimore's game log. Like, how many games has he played this year? Because I don't know.
I think the experts are with you though. They have Mike Evans at an average of 16.9, but overall he ranked at a 19. He had a range of wide receiver 12 to wide receiver 23. So
this year alone, Lattimore's only given up 3.8 targets and allowing 1.8 catches per game.
Sweet baby Jesus. Okay.
Now, what I want to know is who is he covered? Like, is he just not covered good receivers, right? Like Evans might be the best receiver he's gotten so far this year.
That's true.
So I'm pulling up I guess he would have. They played the Falcons, right? So how did Drake London do in that game?
Well, and then they also they played the Cowboys as well. They also faced the Eagles, but I think both of their starting receivers were out. But Drake London in that Falcons game had 6 receptions for 64 yards and was the highest yardage total. Other receivers had 56, 52, 46 in that game. So the ball was spread around pretty evenly. And then against the Cowboys, Lamb had 4 receptions for 90 yards and a tutty with a long of 65. So, I mean, but I think there's just something different about Evans and Lattimore. There's not a whole lot of other. Who was it? It was who was the one that was it?
You talking Crabtree?
No. Well, Crabtree, but it was Texans and Titans. I want to say it was Corey Finnegan. Was it Andre Johnson? Was it Nuke? Was it? I know that Corey Finnegan and somebody always gotten they got fights. They got. I
remember Hopkins when he was on the Texans and Jalen Ramsey on the Jags. Like that would get pretty intense. But I feel like Hopkins would just still produce. Like he might not have like a super monster game, but he also wouldn't blank out. Like we have seen Mike Evans in the past. To your point, Jamie, have bad games against Lattimore.
Mm-hmm.
Yes,
he only had one good game, and that was back in 2018.
Jameis Winston, baby. now, how much? And so with Tom Brady era, Brady really didn't use Evans enough, right? Like we've seen Baker kind of, and I guess with Baker last year, if Evans did poorly, that would also maybe be something. But just looking at the game, so you almost take the Panthers game out of it because it was Bryce Young, so no one produced. Even if Lattimore was not covering it and leaving guys wide open, they wouldn't have produced.
Yeah,
Drake London had a decent game. Maybe he had 12 targets, but only had 6 catches. So, okay, he was heavily utilized, but maybe not 12 targets. You'd expect more than just 64 yards, right? So, okay, maybe that's an example. Juju just had 7 catches, 130 yards last week. Unless Lattimore was covering Xavier Worthy. I don't know. I wasn't watching. Did either of you guys watch Monday night to see who Lattimore was really covering in that game?
No, and to be honest, I don't pay attention to, this person's covering this person. That's just not normally what I do, unless if it's Surtain, really, because it's so much fun to watch, and if I'm watching the Packers to make sure that Preston Smith isn't guarding any wide receivers again, like last year.
Yeah, the Joe Barry defense is, hey, Quay Walker, it's your first NFL game, your very first NFL game. Cover Justin Jefferson.
Yep. And then Preston
You're a
Smith,
linebacker.
get
I'm a
up, get
linebacker.
up.
You know that, right, Coach? I'm not a defensive back. Yeah, we know. Okay.
Yeah, we know. We're okay
How
with
did
that.
Jefferson do? Oh, 200 yards. Oh.
Jefferson did way too well, and we are going to blame everyone but ourselves.
So yeah, what was the original question? We've gone so much down this Mike
Well,
Evans rabbit hole, Jamie.
I think it was my spicy take of Michael Wilson over Mike Evans.
Yeah.
Yes.
I don't know. I don't think Mike Wilson does enough, like produces week in, week out to make that big. So I know there's concern with Lattimore. I don't have that much concern with Lattimore.
I do like this question here because I've actually been debating this, and I actually throw Quorum in this also.
Yeah. Hey, I mean, those are probably like 3 of the top 4 rookie running backs in terms of like rookie drafts this year. So
yeah, so I mean, I do like Wright. I love his upside. He's like explosive, but that offense is nothing without Tua. But Tua could be coming back. Benson, he's not getting any touches.
No,
unless Connor gets hurt. That saying. What's that saying? Targets are earned, but
opportunity is
like handed to you.
Yeah.
So if Connor does get hurt, I mean Benson to the moon.
But up until then,
I think Wright has that more upside, in my opinion.
I think Wright is also the better running back. I loved him coming out of Tennessee. Like I was actually very upset when he went to Miami initially because I knew that he wasn't gonna. They love Mostert. He wasn't gonna beat out Achane. But then I was also like, he'll have injury opportunity, which he had last week. And I think this might be last year Mostert's last stand, like Colonel Mustard, like was it Mustard's last stand? Is that something right? I know Colonel Mustard.
Battle of Bighorn, I think.
Yeah. So Battle of the Acorns with Colonel Mustard. Yes, American history right there. But yeah, I think that Wright next year could be that 1-2 punch like we've seen with Achane and with Mostert. And I think he takes that over. I think Benson has not done enough with his field opportunities, and he's gotten them.
Yeah,
So.
I remember Benson, and he had a game last year in college versus LSU. At the time, we didn't know their defense was one of the worst in the leagues, but they kept taking him out of the game at crucial times. And he only got like 12 carries for like 52 yards, 54 yards. And I was thinking, like, well, why was he taking him out? And I don't think he's actually as good as people think he is. So, yeah, I don't know. I think Wright has the better upside.
Yep. I'm with you.
And I don't want to bank on Connor injury.
Well, that's the thing. I think to me, the upside is Connor gets hurt, Benson gets most of that role. So in theory, he's got the best contingent upside. But that upside's you can only actualize that if Connor gets hurt. Whereas Wright might have better upside without an injury.
Yeah.
But in the case of an injury, it's still a split. So ultimately, I think Benson has the better chance to just from 1 week to another drastically increase his role and increase his value. Whereas with Jalen Wright, it's going to be really hard unless both Achane and Mostert are out, but Tua's back. Like the path for Wright to really be that guy you want to start in your lineup every week is so narrow. Whereas with Benson, it's simple. If Connor's hurt, he's probably the guy. And that's a little easier to attain, and that's why I think I'd prefer Benson.
Yeah.
Because if Jalen Wright's on the waivers and Achane's hurt, but it's still mostly Mostert, are people going to be clamoring for him on the waivers as much? If Connor's suddenly hurt and Benson's out there, he's probably the number 1 waiver claim of the year. So I would say from that perspective, I'd rather stash Benson.
I mean, I see the validity in that. Well, let me think about this, Daniel. With rookie running backs, hold on to them. Do you have to drop one? Like, do you have to let go, or is this more of a hypothetical? Let's hear what they have to say. Because I think if it's
both are available, he can go pick one up.
Oh yeah. Also, if both of them are available, go take both of them, because more than likely, unless if your league has 5 or 6 bench spots, you more than likely have a seasoned veteran receiver on your bench, like a Curtis Samuel or Noah Brown, that you know that can give you a week or two, drop those guys for a Benson, for a Wright. He has Benson now, so that's good. I would say go after Wright as well. You
drop a wide receiver. Wide receiver depth is less important than running back depth for that reason.
Yes.
Yeah, if you have like 2 or 3, 4 wide receivers on your bench, drop one. Because that running back's going to be way more valuable when he gets that start.
You said it earlier, Jamie, right? Targets are earned. So just because a player becomes a receiver in the starting lineup doesn't mean he's going to automatically get targets.
Yeah.
The guy's the starting running back. The team is going to give him a certain number of carries. I mean, if he's just that awful, they'll turn away from it. But like an NFL team has never gone 0 rushing attempts in a game. You know, you might see that CFL teams. They'll just abandon the run so quickly. And in 3-down football, that happens a little more than 4-down football. Hey, thanks. We got to talk about the CFL. But yeah, it's Jamie's point earlier of, and I've heard people talk about this before. Running back is like an elevator. You know, the starter's out, that guy goes right up to the next floor. That backup is now the starter.
Yeah.
Wide receiver is an escalator. You've got to slowly get your way up to earn those targets. So, which is why we always prefer running back depth to wide receiver depth, because on any given week, one injury, that value could change drastically for running back, where those wide receivers. Noah Brown, if Terry McLaurin's out, Noah Brown isn't suddenly becoming this like top 20 wide receiver.
Interesting. I like that.
Example of a guy Topher named earlier.
Yeah, I really like that.
All right.
So his bench is pretty full right now.
Sorry?
His bench is full.
Oh, okay.
So
okay, yeah. So I have Cook back up because I'm
yeah, so he has
James Cook or Dalvin Cook? Because if it's Dalvin, you can definitely drop it. But I'm going to imagine
it's James.
So yeah, so then in that case, like a Ray Davis might actually be more useful right now.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like you're not playing Benson this week if James Cook's out, because it'll take too long. James Cook's playing Monday. We talked about that. So like if that's what you're stuck with, Daniel, and you have James Cook and you want to play him, and Ray Davis is available right now, I think that gives you better upside, because that upside could actualize this week. If Cook's out, Davis is your guy, and you just plug and play for that Monday night game, and you're good. And then that's where that upside comes from, because Cook's out. And if not, well then you can hold Davis for another week, or you can go and try and re-pick up Benson again. If assuming James Conner doesn't get hurt and he's still getting 0 carries, he's probably not viewed as a hot commodity on the waivers either. So
yeah,
I guess my question is, if Ray Davis is out there, I'd actually just drop Benson for Ray Davis, because you like that's more useful to you this week given your team context.
Absolutely. We do have another question from Zach.
Yeah, there's that. Hunter Henry, I assume it's Hunter Henry or Pat Freiermuth.
Yeah, I actually have the same scenario, and hands down, I put Freiermuth in. I'm not trusting Henry with the rookie quarterback right now.
Not gonna lie, I kind of like Henry because of the rookie quarterback. Drake could elevate this offense. He might be able to evade pressure better than Brissett was able to.
I want to see
more drives. I don't know. I'm a little optimistic about the Patriots this week, and I noticed the ECR. One of the biggest differences I have with ECR is Hunter Henry. I've got him inside the top 12 for tight ends, whereas I think ECR is like he's outside the top 20. So
yeah,
I got him, I think,
21.
And I've got him at 11. And to me, I think he's the biggest beneficiary of Drake May getting in there. We've seen him have games already this year. He had a 12-target game. Like that type of target upside, I don't know if that's necessarily there with Freiermuth, with either of the quarterbacks, regardless of what happens. But the fact that there's also less quarterback clarity. What if there's a mid-game switch? Does that hurt Freiermuth? Does that help him? Does that hurt the offense because they're suddenly everything is different for them?
Well, with Pickens not really playing much, the run game struggling, who are they going to throw it to?
Yeah.
So where do you have Freiermuth? Because I have him at 9.
I've got him at 15.
Oh, geez. So we're way different.
Actually, that's probably false.
I bet you have.
No, because I'm starting him ahead of Gesicki and Scott Fishbowl, and I realized I had Gesicki ranked ahead of him. So I'll say 14 for the run.
So I'm looking right now. Freiermuth, besides last week, is getting at least 4 targets a game. He had 3 last week, but he caught all 3. he actually has he's caught all but 3 of his targets so far this season. And I don't know I don't know if they were bad throws, if it was a drop, it was whatever, whose fault it was.
Oh, it's
But-
Fields. It was a perfect throw every time.
Yes.
I
However,
may be delusional. Hello.
yeah, but Hunter Henry had at least one target incomplete each game. He had that 12 target game where he had 8 receptions, 109 yards. But besides that, he has had games of 32, 18, 12, and 9 yards. Freiermuth last week had 22 yards, but he had a touchdown. Otherwise, he's been in that 27 to 40 range besides the week before, where he had 57 and a tutty. But remember, you're playing you're playing with fire here with tight ends, as everyone is this season, unless if you have Brock Bowers. You don't know what's going to happen. I don't know. My gut says Muth because he's gonna give you more of a steady floor. Henry could literally give you nothing. He could give you nothing. He could Muth against the Raiders has a chance to do some damage. That's my thought.
Yeah, I think there's a reason that, again, most of the experts are saying Freiermuth. I'm just defying convention by going with Henry, thinking that he's got the upside play with Drake May. But yeah, that's to be determined. Patriots have a really high passing goal line grade that probably influences that decision for me.
Let's see, Daniel has another question in the chat.
Yeah, Cook or pick up Trey Sermon. Now, again, if this is James Cook, I think the upside on James Cook as a top 10 back is enough for me to. I'd rather pick up Ray Davis and keep James Cook in the lineup. And if Cook is out, you just instantly put Ray Davis in. He's the Bills starting running back, and you can still get that upside. Trey Sermon's going up against a really tough Tennessee defense.
Yeah.
And with Flacco there, they might just throw a ton. And it's not like you're hoping Sermon gets a touchdown. Whereas with James Cook, he can have. We've already seen him have like really good like top 10 RB finishes without a touchdown. So
not this season. I'm looking at his stats right now. And this might be a little different just based off of the league scoring that I'm in. So I'm going to go to a league that has no crazy scoring. This is a standard league, so receptions don't even matter.
Fair, yeah, I guess you know what he's got a touchdown almost every game. So
yeah, so he's had 2 games where he has not had touchdowns. One of those games he had over 100 yards and 3 receptions. One of those games was against Baltimore, and Buffalo just couldn't do squat. So, however, his other 3 games that he scored touchdowns, one game he scored 3 touchdowns, and he scored 1 in the other 2, and he's producing.
He was RB in half PPR, and he was RB 24 that first week where, like you said, he had 100 yards but no touchdown.
Yeah, so
my mistake.
No, you're all
good. Good to call me out.
Yeah,
but still, I'm picking up Ray Davis. I'm not trusting it on Trey Sermon. I'll pick up Ray Davis and cover myself on James Cook. And all the leagues I've got James Cook, and I've got him in the lineup. And if he's out, then I'll deal with that Monday night. But I've got my Monday night replacements already set.
Yeah, I always, if I see somebody like I talked about at the top of the show, I've got Khalil Shakir and James Cook that I could put in that flex spot that I'm thinking about, and I'm making sure that I have somebody that I can throw in. Right? So I have Keon Coleman, but if I didn't, I would go pick up or even do like a little trade for Ty Johnson, a Ray Davis, somebody like that, so that I can have somebody in that place, or like even maybe go find a Tyler Conklin. Just to,
if you're not forced to have to play him as a running back, you could play him as a flex. Then
exactly.
Your options
so if it's a flex, you're probably not going to get Lazard. Mike Williams is probably on somebody's team. Garrett Williams is on somebody's team, as are Hall and Allen. Tyler Conklin, maybe not. So those are your kind of your options. You can go pick up a Curtis Samuel, who is literally not even the top 100 receivers this season, but it's going to be better than a dud,
Well, he might get you 0-2, but the chance that he does it, right? Like you at least put someone in there with a chance they could score points, as opposed to knowingly, like I know there's 100% chance this is 0 points because this guy's inactive. So yeah,
absolutely.
So yeah, if you gotta cut Trey Benson to go get Ray Davis, Daniel, I think that's worth it.
Yeah,
because it covers you for the upside of what you need this week, and then you can always go try and pick up Trey Benson for cut Ray Davis.
Now, something you do have to consider when he says that, some leagues will not allow you to cut a player once their game starts. So like if you,
I meant like after the game, like next week on waivers.
Oh, okay. I'm talking about this week.
Yeah, that's why this get done now, right? Like you got to go cut Benson now for Ray Davis right this moment, and that way you're set up. And that's why at the start of the episode I talked about that. You have James Cook, you have Chase Brown. Go get those options right now because like the player you have to cut to go pick up that backup option might be playing at 1 o'clock. So that's a good point.
Yes, absolutely.
So Zach looks like he's kind of leaning what I'm thinking. Like, okay, Drake May, rookie quarterback, lean on the tight end. I think it happens more here because they don't have any good wide receivers. And I mean, they do have a good wide receiver, Jamie, but I'm going to check. And I'm pretty sure he's inactive once again.
Who is?
Yeah, your boy Javon Baker out again. So like,
they just activated him, man, and he's out.
Yep, inactive.
But I'm high.
I spaced for a second. Who's inactive?
Javon Baker for the Patriots.
Oh yeah,
because I look at that receiving core. Like Kendrick Bourne is there, but he's this will be a second game off the torn ACL. Like he really didn't do much last week. You've got the other rookie Jalen Polk. Like
Polk, man, I like him.
Why wouldn't he target Hunter Henry a ton? Like there's no one else to target there that make you think he shouldn't. So that's just again my thinking with Hunter Henry. But again, I said it, Zach, and Topher said Freiermuth, so you probably should just go with Freiermuth. Trust all the experts. Everyone except me is saying Freiermuth, and that's not just the three of us on this show. Like if you look at, like I know Topher does it more for wide receivers, but if you went and looked at all the experts between Freiermuth and Henry, I'd imagine most people have Freiermuth ranked ahead of Henry.
Yeah, if I had more time in the week and I got had more will to want to do it, because each article takes me about 3.5-4 hours to do all the research, type it out, review it, put it into the WordPress, all of that fun stuff. Finding the pretty picture for it takes about 45 minutes. So, it's something that I would love to do with all of the positions eventually. But I'm sticking with wide receiver because I feel like that's the most volatile position and the one that can go up and down the most based off of expert rankings.
And there's just so many, right? Like there's only so few tight ends that even if someone's lower on a tight end, they might not rank them that much lower because there's just so few people to put there. Whereas with wide receiver, like the range of outcomes can be so wide that like it can make that article of yours, even just a few experts with a lot of versatility in terms of, I don't know, versatility, but like where those receivers are ranked. They can actually make for interesting discussions. Your point on the whole time is, well, they're all really close anyway, right? Like at other positions, it might be like run into a bit of trouble with that. With receiver, there's always going to be big gaps because there's just so many guys.
Yes.
So I like it.
And like something that I've looked at is like, I remember Jaden Reed was like down in the 40s at the beginning of the season. And now he's been in the top 7 the past 2-3 weeks in rankings. And for me, I just kept telling people, go buy Jaden Reed, go draft him a round higher. I was doing that with him. I was doing that with Wandale. I was doing that with Zay Flowers. Zay has not panned out the way that I thought or hoped he would, but like Wandale right now is killing it. I was telling people about Brian Thomas, and I was cooling the heat on some people like DeAndre Hopkins, Keenan Allen, obviously some of our older guys that are falling off. I was also cooling a little bit on Garrett Wilson because he was not producing the hype that he's got. A lot of hype. He's got the name, but he wasn't giving us the results we wanted. So, Zach, sorry, he just put some slander in the chat and we need to call him out on that. Now, if Kyle is
Well,
right on
everyone's favorite, at least on my wife's favorite.
now, now hold on. 1 week. I've been quite consistent for you, Zach. 1 week should not just turn the page. If he's right this week, then and next week about something, totally fine. But
We got a double dip, right? Because if Jamison Williams outscores Josh
Ooh,
Downs,
yeah.
then I'm also
Okay.
right a second time this week.
Okay, so yeah, so if Muth versus Henry and Jamison versus Downs both go Kyle's way, I will completely pass that crown over to him.
Yeah,
And
I'm
regardless
sorry,
of-
Jamie, that you're not even in the running. I'm sorry.
Well, if Jamie gets the right call, he'll be there, right?
I'm always right. So
Probably
Says the Browns fan. Says the Browns fan.
hey, I was right that you're gonna suck this year. I was right about
hot take.
my best friend, he's like, I don't really have a favorite team. I just look for a team that has really sucked for a while and rooted for the underdog. He told that to me 10 years ago, and he's still a Browns fan.
I'll be the underdog, right? I mean, dog pound, like literally the underdog.
Absolutely.
But regardless of who your favorite is, Zach, we appreciate you.
Oh, absolutely. We appreciate it.
Courtney join us. Hello, Courtney.
hey, throw some questions in the chat. We got a few minutes.
Oh yeah, I mean, I was gonna actually toss a question to you guys.
Oh, okay.
Involves teammates of the two questions that Zach has: a Lions player and a Steelers player. Superflex League, Jared Goff versus Justin Fields. Because I will say this is very clearly to me numbers versus narrative. The numbers from what they've produced this year say this should be Justin Fields, but the narrative is there a risk that he gets benched? And so, like, what do you trust this week? That's the one I'm really having a hard time with.
I mean, I got them very similar. Like,
see here, that's why I'm struggling.
Half a point. I mean, but I did put Goff a little bit higher because you know how he crushes in those dome games, right?
Not this year. He's had mostly dome games this year, and he's barely done anything. But in theory, we like that from Goff, right? Like, it's the game environments we want. It's a super high over/under this week against the Cowboys. Shootout expectations. He's not getting it done.
Ooh, yeah, I don't know. That's a toughie.
Here, while you guys are deciding, I do want to share one thing with the crowd. I know last week I shared my goal line guide. I'm going to go.
Both really great matchups.
Yeah. I've got them both as top 15 guys, but so this is one thing I do for like really difficult decisions to kind of like to visualize, right? Get me the numbers. I create this spreadsheet and I just put a bunch of different factors in. A lot of them is production. And it's basically like, what have they done this year? What's their average scoring, their median scoring? What's like the range of outcomes, best and worst? And then what are they projected to score? Then also some like matchup things, like the defensive rank against the position, the game, like the game line set by Vegas, the implied total for each individual team, but the over/under for the combined game. And then I also throw my goal line grade and the goal line differential, which I went through and explained last week what they were. So I think like this is timed well so that I get a concept of what that is. Looking at this spreadsheet, it says, again, the numbers say it should be Justin Fields. But what's not on this spreadsheet is he could get benched this week, right? Like, so
I wouldn't bank on him getting benched. He's shown enough, I think. Plus, he's got that rushing upside. So, yeah, I'm switching. I'm going to Fields.
Yeah, I think also the way that I looked at how the Dallas Cowboys have played against wide receivers lately, I think that definitely has something to do with my decision to go with Fields. I also think that I don't think that if Justin Fields had a losing record right now, I think he'd be susceptible. But he doesn't have a losing record right now. And he's been doing very well in games and haven't like their last game, they lost by 3 points to the Cowboys and then 3 points to the Colts. Like they've been in every single game that they've played. So it's not like they're getting blasted out and, it's not coming to fruition.
And that Colts game was weird, right? Because they were down 17-0 instantly, and Fields brought them back, just couldn't bring them back enough.
Yeah, well, yeah, it got right at the end of the first half. The Steelers kicked a field goal, so going into half it was 17-3, and then Fields was the only one. Fields scored 2 rushing touchdowns, and then scored a passing touchdown to Freiermuth to make it 27-24 with 3:40 to go, but they just couldn't do anything. So Fields definitely turned it on in that second half. And then against the Cowboys, it was just playing it back and forth. Cowboys scored, Steelers, Cowboys, Steelers, Cowboys, Steelers. Cowboys just got the last score with 20 seconds left in the game. So, like, Steelers were up literally until the very end of the game.
Yeah, that's true too.
So it's not like they're getting blown out like the way that the Saints were blowing people out in the first 2 weeks. You know, you're not having a 44-19 game where Fields is continually losing. I think they keep him.
And I mean, if they lose to the Raiders, he will be at 500. And then I guess that next week, does that leave him more susceptible to being benched?
I agree, but I don't think that they would bench him mid-game unless if Aiden O'Connell and the Raiders all of a sudden come out and put up 35 points and they're doing nothing. Like, this is not a week that they will bench him.
You're now played by Aiden O'Connell. What are you doing, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And honestly, my big fear with Goff, I've already mentioned it, is that so much goes through the run game that there's very little pass production in this game. Where it's all through Gibbs and Montgomery. That's where all the touchdowns are. And Goff has one of his floor performances as opposed to a ceiling performance. Even if we like this game environment, the Lions total, but also just like the over-under of the whole game, we love that. But if it's all on the ground, then the passing game doesn't really benefit.
Yeah, okay, we got a couple more questions in the chat.
I was going to say we need to do a quick round.
Okay, yeah. Sorry. But anyway, so that's all to maybe encourage people. Like, if you're having difficult decisions, this is like with the spreadsheet I just showed, one way to kind of help with some of those decisions. Untrained music. Yeah, I love music. Got to start one in half PPR, Tank Dell or Chase Brown. Yeah, you prefer running backs in half PPR, but I've already talked about this with Chase Brown. He is questionable tonight. And if you don't have another option on Sunday night or Monday night, you might get stuck with him like taking a 0 in the lineup or having to drop Chase Brown to pick someone else up. So I think we've already talked about Chase Brown versus Tank Dell. I think we're all in favor of just playing it safe. Take Tank Dell in what we think is more of a spike week for him without Nico Collins and against a Patriots defense that loves to run man coverage.
Yeah, and Jamie was talking about how, you know, the man coverage is going to be better for Tank Dell.
Yeah, so Christian Gonzalez will be on Diggs. So I like it.
Absolutely. Let's look at the next one.
All right, another Zach question. So yeah, thank you, Untrained Music. So yeah, one more for full PPR. So Pickens, Eckler, or Bucky. I do wonder, is this the same league that he was talking about earlier with Pickens? Oh wait, never mind. That was someone else. That wasn't him.
Yeah.
Never mind. All right.
I'm going Bucky here. Yeah. Bucky's got the start.
Rashad White is officially inactive.
Yeah, White is officially inactive. Bucky's starting. I think that
Brian Robinson's also inactive, so that does.
Oh, okay. So that does.
Well, that's a tough defense to run on.
Against
Brian Robinson was playing. I wouldn't play Brian Robinson this week for the matchup.
Well, yeah. I mean, I was gonna play Brian Robinson. I had to pull out a bunch of lineups, but yeah, I do have Bucky. Actually, I've got him ranked as a top 20 running back this week.
I got him at 13, man. I'm spicy. I got him right behind Gibbs and Montgomery.
I actually have Eckler 2 spots higher, though.
I was going to... No.
That feels wrong, though. That does feel...
Zach, are you saying no because we're saying Bucky? Please tell me that you're saying no because we're saying Bucky, because that would be amazing.
I got Eckler around 2021 area.
Looking at the goal line guides, and yeah, it's... Like, the Bucs have a really high run differential this week. Their goal line grade is 87.5. So there's good touchdown upside for Bucky. So I'm changing my rankings right now. I should have Irving ahead of Eckler.
And then Pickens, we talked about, he was only getting like 55% of the snaps for some reason. I just want to see it before I put him back in my lineup.
Yeah, I'm willing to go Irving as a like I've got right now. I've got him at 16. So yeah, Bucky Irving. And yeah, we've already talked about Pickens, like just not getting enough volume. Like if you can trust, certainly you want to go with one of these running backs that are going to be lead backs for their teams. Might be like the Saints' run defense is good too. Maybe not as good as the Ravens, but yeah. So I think all three of us are in favor of Bucky Irving.
Absolutely.
Well, okay. So now if something goes wrong, like you can't trust any of us. So Courtney asking for a friend. So a buddy of hers needing a tight end in Dynasty. He wants Njoku or Otten. He has Ford and Singletary. Oh, willing to trade. Okay, so trade talk here. Interesting.
Ford's trash, man. I wasn't even on him going into the season, and he hasn't shown anything.
I mean, if you can dupe somebody for you give Ford and someone else for Njoku, absolutely.
You might even be able to get Njoku straight up for Ford. Who knows?
The way Njoku's been hurt and ineffective.
Yeah. I'm going between those two. I'm going Njoku.
We're going Njoku. Plus, you would think Winston's going to step in sooner than later. Hopefully, fingers crossed. But yeah, I would go after Njoku. I still have him as the dynasty top 12.
I think I would trade Ford for either tight end. So if, like, let's say, oh, wait a minute. Oh, no, this is Court. Okay. Yeah, I don't know that I want to trade for Ford or Singletary. If they have different...
He has those running backs, and he's wanting a tight end. He wants Njoku or Otten, and on his roster, he's got Ford and Singletary that he's willing to trade. I would say...
I was interpreting this as, like, Courtney wants to, like, they want to trade, like, Courtney currently has Njoku on her team. But that might just be another manager on a different team. So, yeah, I think if I'm your friend, Courtney, I'm fine trading either of those running backs for either of those tight ends. Because the truth with Singletary, now that Tyrone Tracy's out of the box, I have a strange suspicion it's not just going to be all Singletary getting 80% of the work. Now it's going to be a true split. Singletary's probably not going to be very startable the rest of the year. And certainly, I think they've talked about, Jamie, Nick Chubb's coming back next week. That's why, like, we view Ford as get out of him while you can.
I mean, even Nick Chubb's not going to help that offense. You put prime LaDainian Tomlinson in the Browns offense right now, it ain't going to help.
No.
Well, then that's also just the thought of running backs are one of the least impactful, like, positions to a team actually winning. So
yes,
you need the QB, which is why they did it in the first place. But it's just
exactly
funny. They did it when they had a QB. Anyway, so if your friend wants to trade either of those running backs for either tight end, I think it's definitely worth it.
Do it. Absolutely.
Because she said she didn't have any feelings on it, so she wanted to get our opinion. Like a lot of people joined this chat wanting to get our opinions about a lot of different start-sit decisions. So we're 15 minutes away. I'm just looking at the inactives, actives one last time just to make sure there's no like surprise player that's inactive that we didn't address and let people know about. But it looks like we're anything. Yeah, it looks like we're pretty good. Everything we talked about, like Joe Mixon is playing. That's one thing that's big news.
Yes.
So, there's definitely some leagues where, I think I was going to play Agumbawale that maybe I now have to go make some changes. So, okay. So Pitts or Kincaid?
I don't think I have Kincaid that high. Let me double check.
I don't think I have either that high.
Yeah.
I think I have Kincaid higher though.
I don't know if I'd go. I mean, it's against the Jets. That's the only thing this week is normally I'd go Kincaid here.
I do have Kincaid higher than Pitts. Looking at the reason I think I have him higher is probably the goal line.
Yeah. Yeah, I got Kincaid at 7. Where's Pitts? 13.
Yeah, both teams have higher run goal line grades this week. So it's like the touchdown likelihood, it probably isn't strong with either. I suppose with Kincaid, if Shakir's out, we expect him to get more targets, but we keep saying that every week and he keeps not doing it. But eventually one of these weeks he will get more targets.
Well, he's actually gone up in targets. So his targets have gone from 2, 4, 5, 7, and then 6 last week. So besides last week, he's gone up every time. However, very interestingly, his snap share has dropped a lot. He started at 84, went to 42, 53, 63, 62. While Kyle Pitts, his lowest is 68, which would be Kincaid's second highest. And so I think Pitts is on the field more.
So I am looking at a league right now where I have Kincaid. He's on my bench only because it's a 2 tight end league, but I have Trey McBride, Ferguson, and Kraft.
Yeah, I'd put him.
Other than that, like I said, I have Kincaid at
I've got
6.
McBride and Ferguson both as top 4 guys this week.
Yeah, me too. And I have Kraft right there with them. So that's the only reason I have Kincaid on my bench. I could start Kincaid over Slayton, but I don't want to start 4 tight ends.
Yeah.
You can, and that one, that's 2 late games, so you can like wait till Sunday night tonight to make that decision.
Mm-hmm.
So you also could see how the rest of the week has gone, and you can base your decision off that.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So she already has Kincaid, and so it seems like that's where she was leaning. So maybe we've just confirmed her thinking. But yeah, thanks everyone for joining us. The game's going to kick off in about 15 minutes. So appreciate both my co-hosts. Very thankful for both on this Canadian Thanksgiving weekend. Very special stream for that. So we totally went out of our way and did totally different things that we don't normally do. This is what you can expect every week from us here. So
absolutely.
Just want to shout out everyone in the chat. Zach joins us every week with tons of questions. Courtney going for 2 live members, super supportive there. Daniel had a lot of good questions as well this week. Michael dropped in. Ryan dropped in with some questions, and drop the mic FF. Mike Hicks also dropped in as always.
Yep.
Watch Jamie and Mike as well as their co-hosts on the Fantasy Cheat Sheet on Tuesday nights. Topher wasn't on the Armchair Show this week, so we'll
I wasn't
waiting to hear back. Yeah. Anything you guys want to say before we head out of here?
Yeah. Happy Canadian Thanksgiving.
Thank you. Almost Canadian Jamie. And thank you, Courtney.
Proud of you, Canada, for having a Thanksgiving.
It's colder here. We need our Thanksgiving a month and a half earlier because it's so cold.
Yes.
Super cold days. But yeah, had a cool live stream here with Topher, with Jamie. I'm Kyle Senra. And we'll be back next week for another Start Sit Sunday morning stream on the Going for 2 Live Network. So thank you all, everyone, for your comments.